Do you find yourself trying to control every moment of your life or experiencing extreme anxiety when you don't know exactly what's going to happen or if you'll be able to handle it? If so, you are in good company. But if we could instead learn to embrace uncertainty and to override that natural tendency to cling to the familiar at all costs, we would see a whole world of possibilities open up before our very eyes. So today we're going to talk all about how to conquer our fear of the unknown and find peace in the present moment, no matter where our life seems to be leading us. Welcome back. My name's Nina and I'm a life coach that specializes in personal development. Here at this channel we talk all about our emotional well-being, understanding our own psychology, and leading our best life possible. So if you aren't already a subscriber, please take a moment and become one. We definitely want you to stay connected. Our lives are filled with uncertainty. We can try if we want to control it or to prepare for it, but if we really resist reality or go against the flow of life, we can often really miss out on the fantastic opportunities that can be found in the unexpected. So why then do we fear change so deeply? Why does uncertainty cause so much suffering? I think it's because deep down we don't feel that we are going to be able to handle any variations from the plans that we have. So we all have this blueprint of how we think our perfect life should go, and when there's any kind of variations we start to feel very threatened. Or we are just not open to change in general. We just are firmly set that the way we think things should go is the absolute best way. So when we feel like that's not going to potentially happen, we get very nervous and uncomfortable. Another issue is that we tend to create all kinds of stories around unknown factors. So we have this potential change coming and we take that potential change and we think of all the worst case scenarios for that change and we really catastrophize it and we keep adding on until it becomes something so terrifying that of course we don't want it to happen. Of course we're not open to that possibility, even though the things that we're thinking about are probably highly unlikely in the first place. Our brains really crave certainty, so when we don't have it, it's like it can't rest. It goes over the scenario over and over and over again without any stop. It becomes a lot of times the only thing that we can think about. So again, it just adds to that fear. The interesting thing, however, is that there is never certainty in our life. When we feel that we have certainty, it's always an illusion. Now, there are things that are more likely to happen than other things, but that certainly does not mean that that is what is going to happen in reality. So, in fact, there is never certainty in our life. We are always living in a state of uncertainty. The problem with this fear is that it really keeps us from doing all the great things that we want to do in our life, and it keeps us clinging onto things that are potentially hurtful to us, or at minimum, keep us from really growing as a person. So let's jump right into how we can truly learn to embrace uncertainty and to break this cycle of fear. So the first thing we need to do is to pinpoint what the actual fear is. So when we are faced with uncertainty, oftentimes there is this huge cloud of panic that comes that makes us resistant to any kind of change. We just know that it's making us uncomfortable and we don't want it to happen. However, usually inside this cloud of chaos lies one very specific, pinpointable fear that is the root of all this anxiety. Let me give you a specific example that happened to one of my clients. Now, she was offered this amazing new job, which was a promotion, but she was going to have to switch the location of her job to a different facility that was like 10 minutes away. Now, it was a huge upgrade in pay and a new title and all wonderful and good things, yet she was filled with fear. She was filled with anxiety. She was absolutely terrified. So when we talked about it, however, she realized that her terror really had nothing to do with the job at all. It had to do with the fact that her ex-boyfriend actually worked at that facility. Once she realized that, she was able to make some phone calls to see where her office would be in relation to him, which was not even on the same floor. Since she has taken this position, she has seen him in passing twice, and she doesn't even think that he noticed her. So she is loving her new job, and it worked out to be a wonderful upgrade to her life. But if she hadn't have pinpointed that fear, she would not have taken that job, and her life would have just continued on as is. And actually, she's had a huge upgrade. So that's just an example of really pinpointing where those fears actually lie, because a lot of times those specific fears need to be addressed. The second thing we need to do is to truly trust our ability to not only survive situations, but to thrive in situations. Remember, we can always recalculate every time we are presented with new information. And yes, we can handle it. If you are sitting here, you have survived every single thing that life has thrown your way. And in fact, you have probably thrived in these situations and learned from them and had upgrades in your life, which we all do. Whenever we get things, again, tossed in our direction, we have that opportunity to make it into something positive or negative. So trust in your ability to make it into something positive and to take this new information and recalculate your plans. Make a new path. We're always able to do it. It's not like we have a plan that just shatters. We have a plan that we can just kind of switch up and tweak as needed. And we need to trust our own ability to do this because we have that ability. We don't want to always run to our limiting belief telling us we can't handle situations. We can handle situations, and we do so every single day. The third thing that we can do is to build up a tolerance to uncertainty. So we can do this by practicing. We can put ourselves in situations that are safe and secure, however, out of our comfort zone, things that we wouldn't normally try. Test it out and prove to yourself that, hey, I can handle this situation. Actually, this is fun. I am fully capable of doing this. And then keep raising the bar and raising the bar until you truly learn that uncertainty brings about nothing but opportunity. It's really a blessing, sometimes in disguise, but always a blessing. The fourth thing that we need to do is to let go of perfectionism. Perfectionism causes nothing but suffering and lots of pain and anxiety. I know this firsthand because I was a perfectionist most of my adult life. So when we are faced with uncertainty, it really fills us with fear a lot of times because we're so afraid of looking bad. We're afraid we're not going to be able to handle something, or we're not going to know what we are doing, or we won't be able to make those necessary adjustments. Now, firstly, we don't know if that is even the case. We may just ease into the new situation very, very smoothly. But we also have to remember that life is not about perfection, and we can't expect ourselves to be perfect because that is a standard that does not exist and therefore cannot be met. Our lives will be filled with mistakes no matter how fantastic we are as a person, no matter how intelligent or organized or prepared we are. We will make mistakes. So we have to accept and embrace that because our mistakes really are our best teachers in our lives. And if we live our whole life just in the bubble of trying to not make mistakes and to try to be perfect all the time, we will never get anywhere. It is impossible to move forward without making a mistake here and there. So we must let go of perfectionism if we want to advance in our lives. The fifth thing that we can do is to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is the cure for just about everything, and this is no exception. So by mindfulness, I'm simply saying that we need to be present in the moment at hand. We need to be in the here and now. When we have that cloud of uncertainty, we are drifting off into the future, and not just what is really going to happen in the future, some kind of catastrophic story of what is going to happen in the future that really causes us so much much suffering. So if we can bring our focus back to the here and now, we can realize that we have this moment, we'll be able to handle this moment, and then in the next moment, when that comes, we'll be able to handle that moment too. But we need to stay in the here and now instead of drifting off into the very terrifying possibilities for the future. The sixth thing that we can do is to be at peace with worst case scenarios. So if we can't get these worst case scenarios out of our head, let's go ahead and write them down, make sure we're being realistic, and again, not catastrophizing the situation or entertaining possibilities that would never ever happen. But if there are realistic repercussions to this that we are genuinely experiencing fear about, let's write them down and walk ourselves through the process of understanding that no matter if any or all of these things happen, that we will still be sitting here, we will still be surviving. Even if these are things that are terrifying to us, we again will get past them just like we have gotten past everything in our life. We have to understand that so much of this is all about control. I know we all want things to go one way, but we have to understand that the universe a lot of times knows better than we do, and a lot of times these things need to happen as a part of our life. They are part of our path and our process, and all of these things can potentially lead to things that are way better than we could have ever imagined, or way better than the path that we were really clinging to. So again, it's all about being open to opportunity, first of all, and second of all, being at peace with any of these scenarios. Remember, we have the strength to get through anything that happens to us. The seventh thing is a simple principle that is sometimes a little more difficult to follow, but it is so beneficial when we do, and that is that in life we can't have anything great unless we take risks. If we don't take risks, our life is going to be very, very stale. It's going to be just simply a repeat of the day before, and we will never really progress or get anywhere that is super magnificent. But if we can branch out, push out of the comfort zone, and try new things and understand that high risk can be high reward, a lot of times it's worth it to take these risks, because so many times in life our deepest regrets are the things that we did not attempt to do. We need to at least attempt these things. That fear of uncertainty is oftentimes so suffocating that it keeps us from even trying things that we pretty much know would bring us joy and happiness. So we need to start to push past this fear of uncertainty and the fear of getting out of our comfort zone so we can begin to move forward. And the eighth thing has everything to do with mindset. We need to see the wonder and opportunity in being able to rewrite our own story. That way we can have upgrades and we can include aspects in our life that we would have never considered before. We don't want to be stuck with our first draft. Think about where you would be in your life if it had gone exactly the way you had wanted it to go when you were 14 or 15 years old. It would not include so many of the elements in your life that are your favorite parts of life, because as we grow, we evolve and we learn, and we can see new, fresh opportunities that we want to be a part of our lives. Again, our first draft usually isn't our best draft. It is such a blessing being able to reinvent ourselves and to push ourselves to our full potential. We can never reach our full potential and live a wonderful, grand life when we are confining ourselves to this little bubble of things that we are not afraid of. But remember, it's all an illusion anyway. All of life is uncertain. So if we can truly learn to embrace it and remember that the universe really does have our back, life is always happening for us, not to us. There may be things that, yes, we can't understand, or that, yes, we wouldn't have planned that way, but we need to be open to that, because when we stop fighting life and we start to go with the flow of life, it can lead us to so many miraculous places. Remember, our mindset is the lens that we view our whole lives through. So if we have a dark, cloudy lens of fear, our life is never going to seem positive. It's never going to seem like a happy, joyful place. We're never going to be excited to wake up in the morning. But if we can have that lens that really is a lens of possibility and optimism and really being okay with uncertainty, we are just going to have a whole new world open up to us. So I truly hope that these 8 strategies help you to break past this fear that is really holding you back. I know it was certainly holding me back. I hated uncertainty, and now I really love change. I embrace change, and I know firsthand that being accepting of change can point you in directions that lead to so much happiness. So I truly hope this video was helpful to you, and if it was, please like it and share it with someone else who may need to hear the same message today. Also, again, if you aren't already a subscriber, please take a moment and become one. We definitely want you to stay connected, and I thank you so much for spending time with me today. Have an absolutely extraordinary day.